I recently got the pleasure to test the Bambu Labs X1 Carbon. I've been able to test the Anker M5 and the Anker M5C recently as well, and I also want to share my personal experiences testing each of these devices, and of course this video is mainly going to be focused on the Bambu Labs. So the X1 Carbon has been out for around a year now. The Anker M5 came out, let's see, about 6 months ago, and the Anker M5C just dropped. And to summarize this video up in a whole, while I received all those printers for free, the Bambu Labs X1 Carbon, in my opinion, is my recommendation unequivocally. In summary, you have the ability to print multiple colors via present color modules. You also have the ability for an enclosed case with air filtration, which to me is actually something that's a little bit more important, probably than the average person. You have gyro sensors in the nozzle to detect speed. You have a core XY structure rather than a standard gantry structure. And the only complaint that I might have is that the bed is a little finicky at certain times. However, again, if I were to recommend this to really anyone that was very serious in printing, this would be the recommendation. Again, I got the AnkerMake M5 and the M5C directly from them for free. And this printer I also received for free. I did receive a little bit more than I received from Anker, as in like I got color modules with this as well. So currently I don't have a color module from AnkerMake, so I can't really compare that in regards. Again, the color module was, the V6 color module was then again delayed, and here we are in the time that I was originally promised to get it. Now it's moved to December. Comparing a M5 to with no color module to a Bambu Labs X1 Carbon that has a color module that's probably going to announce a second revision very soon. If I want to get color prints, the Bambu Labs is what I'm going for. So talking about the UI is compared to the, I'm just going to talk mostly about the M5. I would say UI is probably on par with each other. You're looking at maybe the Bambu Labs X1 Carbon does a really good job like actually showing you what's on the screen. The screen is honestly very useful. Same with the M5, the app and interface, the experience is, I want to say, flawless on both printers. However, the X1 Carbon, of course, has a lot more refined features, as in like the AI detection feature is a little bit more refined, a little bit more reliable per se. But that is just a slight difference in terms there. Both these printers have a theoretical max speed of 500 millimeters per second. I found that both printers are pretty much able to execute that. Obviously, I think that the print quality from the X1 Carbon at that speed is slightly better just because of the hardware that it has. You're comparing something that has just an AI detection camera to something that has both LiDAR, a camera, and of course gyro sensors in the nozzle. The camera is external and the LiDAR is literally on the nozzle to scan. Again, it is flat out like night and day between the print quality and the reliability that you do end up getting. The Bambu Labs X1 Carbon also comes with a hardened nozzle, a hardened steel nozzle, which means that you can print carbon fiber. Now, in my experience with the AMS system, which is the X1 Carbon combo, that AMS does struggle a little bit pushing that very coarse and abrasive carbon fiber PLA through the system, and it does struggle. Obviously, it's got a lot of friction, and I think that's very reasonable for it to get stuck. So in my experience, using the carbon fiber in order to test has been really difficult from the AMS. It has to be directly feeded in, which again, I don't entirely blame that, as that's something that probably would be ubiquitous across other color modules as well. It's just very difficult to push that much with a very small motor. Now, honestly, I talk a lot about sound because as someone that often is recording videos with printers in the background, y'all really hear when I have stuff going. I don't have anything going at the moment, but the X1 Carbon does a solid job with keeping all the noise in the case. However, in certain circumstances, you will hear the filament switching over, and that is more of a non-fan noise, which is atypical from a 3D printer. Usually you have that fan noise or the power supply noise that is cranking up and kind of causing those problems. So while I directly would compare it to the M5 is substantially noisier. The M5C is kind of adjusted with that noise, but still, since it's an enclosed case, I think that's a really good point to make, is that there is no color module to do an A/B comparison here. So the only thing that's really making the noise is the color module. We don't have a color module yet. We don't have any experience with how that filament switches out with the AnkerMake system. So I don't really have much to say here. You have a color module and you don't. Also, I think I need to point out the fact that you have the M5 from AnkerMake and the Bambu Labs X1 carbon. The X1 carbon is of course going to have an enclosed case. I even strapped on a couple more carbon filters on the back. And to be honest with you, the printer is really nice to have it enclosed. You can duct out what you're looking for. If you don't want to have that, whatever you're basically printing, you can duct that outside. I'm of the firm belief that I don't want to risk it even with PLA. So everything is filtered and exited out of the room. But for a lot of people, that's not that important. And maybe they want to use this filter if they're printing something a little bit more yucky, say for example, ABS. But I'm just of the firm belief that, I actually like that kind of sanity, ease of mind that, this is at least filtered and, maybe 10 years, 20 years down the road, if PLAs, maybe the additives in PLA are, not that great, I don't have to really worry about that. Now, it should come as no surprise that the build quality on both these printers is really solid. The M5 is exceptionally solid for a, gantry system printer, but the Core XY system on the Bambu Labs is also phenomenal. This is, solid, high quality all across the board, something that feels nice. It's nice it's enclosed. Again, having glass panels, aluminum body, it's a very nice printer. You have, a glass top you can see in, it's literally a box with lots of windows so you can watch and see what's going on. Also, the filament runout sensor compared to the M5, the filament runout sensor on the X1 carbon is directly inside the nozzle, which again, I encountered a lot of issues with the AnkerMake M5. The runout detection sensor is part of the gantry and not the nozzle system. So once, the filament breaks somewhere in that system, say for example, it's pushing the gantry sensor, but it's, run out through the nozzle, then you have something that's printing and there's nothing really printing. Again, just a design decision that I think the X1 carbon does substantially better. So usually what happens with the course of my videos is I actually use this as more of a personal and then also commercial use. So I'll use this personally and I'll also use this for work. And so oftentimes I have prints that are all over the place that I don't have directly. So throughout the video, you'll see different prints pre-recorded at different times, but I've already done a majority of my testing. This was something that I kind of made. I got some of this really nice gold filament and I did a multicolor print. I do want to say, going back to the slicer though, the system that is in the Bambu Labs to add color to these prints, phenomenal. You literally just click a face and you set a color to it. It is literally like painting like you would in Photoshop. You just use the bucket tool. This is phenomenal and is a very easy and intuitive system to use. You literally just select the stuff from the AMS. Also, can I point out the fact that the AMS, or the material system, recognizes what filament's in what based off some RFID tags and determines and then also updates in the app or in the desktop app, so then you can see what's in what slot. Then you can add those colors directly to your print so you know exactly what you're printing, and it's super easy. Again, this system is phenomenal. It was really easy to get started. Obviously, it's got some complexity to it, but it was about as easy as I could really think it to be. It's not like there's anything glaring at me that I think would want to change. Again, going back to bed adhesion, I will give credit to AnkerMake here. The bed adhesion is slightly better just by having a not perforated, but a bumpy bed versus the Bambu Labs, which does require you, it does come with a glue stick, but you're supposed to put the glue stick down first. I didn't really have much issues, especially with this. The sucker was pretty much stuck down the entire time. I didn't really have much issues with that. I also was able to get a whole bunch of different beds as well, and you can try those out accordingly. A lot of those were for ABS and PETG, as well as they also sent me a roll of polycarbonate. In terms of print reliability, I found that both these printers do really good. Compared to the days when I started 3D printing, where things were like a luck of the draw if you actually got something that would print reliably, I feel like both these printers, if you set them to print, you have like a 95, if not 98% chance, assuming you didn't do something wrong, that they would print. And what I mean by doing something wrong, you rub your finger, you get grease on there, you do something to mess up the bed, then there might be a situation there. So what's my opinions? I've used both the M5, the M5C, and the X1 carbon. Now obviously the M5C is the new one, but it's also like a $300, $400 printer. I wouldn't count that in here. The M5 is like a $700, $800 printer, and compared to the X1 carbon, which is like a $1,000 to $100 printer, that I don't know if that's a fair comparison as well. However, if I were to be asked if I think the upgrade from the M5 to the X1 Carbon is worth it, I would have to say yes. I really think that saving that extra money means that you get an enclosed case, you get something that's, I want to say, a little bit more visually pleasing, you get a lot more added features in terms of, the gyroscope sensor in the nozzle. That actually helps a lot with the waving of the prints, and also the LiDAR system as well. So you get that fancy camera on both of them, but that really takes it to the extra level by having it all in the Bambu Labs. Again, I personally prefer the look of the X1 Carbon. I think it's something that looks a lot more professional. The X1 Carbon is actually now my personal recommendation for what I think people should get if they are very serious about the printer. Now, obviously, I got this for free, and I live in a very lucky world, perhaps. And I understand that that is not for everyone, and that price tag is not for everyone. However, if you are really serious about 3D printing, the experience is a substantial step up from a lot of the competition. To any company that may be considering, spending $100,000 on a 3D printer, that can do roughly the same features. And I really, really like this printer. It's something that has made a substantial step up in the workflow of rapid prototyping for me, and actually makes some really cool prints. Now, the one thing I will let you know is don't be disappointed when you get the print and you start setting up these multicolor prints and something like this that would take 500 millimeter, or with 500 millimeters per second, something like this that should take maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes at the most, starts taking something like 45 minutes or an hour, because, well, that's just how long it takes to switch out all the filament every time. For now, at least, this is personally something I absolutely love. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and see you guys next time.